wherever you are in the world. My name is Viola Edward, and I am a board member of Women for Solution, and also I'm a social entrepreneur, CEO of my of Grit Academy and partner of Creative Women Platform. And it is my honor and my pleasure to interview very, very special people around the world that are close to my heart. And in this occasion, I'm interviewing dearest Princess Ronke Ademiluyi. I'm gonna tell you about Ronke, but first of all, I have to tell you that she's my African sister. And okay, so welcome you all. And Ronke, Princess Ronke Ademiluyi, royalty born in the royal family of the Kingdom of Ile Ife SW of Nigeria. A law graduate of West London University who went ahead in 2011 to become the founder of Africa Fashion Week London, now UK's largest annual fashion event that promote and nurture African and African-inspired design, talent, and showcases to the West. Okay, we're recording, it was interrupted. So I'm sharing about the bio of my dear friend and dear sister, Princess Ronke Ademiluyi, royalty born. So she is the founder of the Africa Fashion Week London. She's graduate of Law School of West London University. Her Africa Fashion Week London has showcased over 1,000 designers from Africa and the global diaspora to over 70,000 visitors, and represented designers from 33 African countries and African-inspired designers from countries outside of the African continent, including France, Holland, USA, Brazil, China, the Caribbean, and of course, the United Kingdom, where we met. In 2014, she set up a sister platform in Nigeria, Africa Fashion Week Nigeria, to enable her to reach out to young, talented African designers from the African continent who can't afford the logistic of traveling to the London show to showcase on international platform. She has produced over 20 fashion shows, including the Measure of London's Africa on the Square event during every Black History Month in London. Welcome, Eli. Welcome, my dear Eli. For the past 11 years, her annual Africa Fashion Week London consistently employs over 100 youth annually, and that includes model, stylists, makeup artists, designers, and models to work with her during the Fashion Week. In 2021, we met in 2020, and that year we couldn't have the fashion show. And in 2021, she produced the Africa Fashion Week London Business Fashion Forum in collaboration with the Mayor of London's office, Department of Trade South Africa, and the V&A Museum. She is the co-founder of Fashion Future online courses in partnership with Henley's Business School UK and Parsons Design School, New York. Are you still there, Princess?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, it's okay. Very good. Okay. Very good. She set up the Africa Fashion Week London mentoring, I'm very involved in that scheme, for Black fashion students in the UK in partnership with Northampton University in the UK. She is the co-author of the African fashion book, The Eyes of Originality and Creativity. She's the producer of the documentary Ingenious Aso Oke Fabric of Nigeria. Ronke is the creator and producer of Moremi, the musical, a musical drama of the legendary Queen Moremi Ajasoro of Ile Ife. Did I pronounce that well, Ronke?
Yes, you did, Ile-Ife. You did pronounce it well.
She is the co-founder and global ambassador of the QMA, international initiative that supports the rights of girls and women in Nigeria and Africa. She oversees the QMA funds that educate and empower young ladies in Nigeria and Africa. We will talk about that. It's a beautiful program. She published the book of the authentic story of the legendary Queen Moremi. She set up the QMA initiative to campaign against modern day slavery and trafficking of young women in Nigeria and Africa. Princess Ronke set up the QMA mentorship program for young ladies, a program that provides startup funds for young female entrepreneurs. Beautiful, beautiful program, so unique. She is the founder of the Adire Uda Textile Hub, or Adire, which is under the chairmanship of His Imperial Majesty, the Uni of Ife. The hub is a COVID bounce back facility that was set up to train and empower women and youth in Ife and its environment. A hub that uses the heritage fabric Adire as a wealth creation tools for women and unemployed youth. She is also the author of the book Unspoken, a book about Africa, women, kingship, and leadership. I could continue for hours, huh? Especially if I talk about my love and admiration for these women that become my sister in 2020. So we will be spending 1 hour together here. And I encourage you to write some questions in the chat. Just want to check if dearest Eli, are you here, Eli?
Here listening in, okay, but I'm like double dipping in another meeting.
Okay, Eli, thank you so much. So let's continue. So Princess Ronke Ademiluyi, thank you so much for opening this space for us at Women for Solution. And we will share this video with many organizations because we work in partnership with others. And also I know you are in rural area now, for that we're gonna go as much as we can because our challenge is the connection and the internet. But we're hard connected. We are hard connected, aren't we, Ronke? And then we will do as much and hopefully we will have all the time for us. So I have a series of questions for you, and maybe later at the end, if we still have time, maybe we will have an opportunity to answer some more questions. I'm very, I know the story, but I still want to know, how is it that you created the Africa Fashion Week London?
Okay, first and foremost, I want to thank you very much for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to be a part of the Women for Solutions project or initiative. Thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of it. Once again, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Princess Ronke Ademiluyi, and I'm the founder of the Africa Fashion Week London and Nigeria. The Africa Fashion Week London was set up in 2011, and it was born out of that moral obligation and urgent need of a platform that supported, showcased, and promoted African designers. About a decade ago, before I started, because I started in 2011, and before then, we realized that a lot of the African-inspired designers were not really involved, in the mainstream global fashion weeks. Unlike now, where we have, so much of African fashion around everywhere, it wasn't like that like 10 or 11 years ago. So Africa Fashion Week London was born out of that moral obligation and an urgent need of a platform, you know, to showcase authentic African designers to the West, to help them create awareness for their brands so that they can become sustainable and self-sufficient.
Thank you so much. So what will be the one thing you want the world to know about Africa Fashion Week London? The one thing.
The one thing would be the amazing, you know, talented designers that we showcase every year. We have showcased over 1,000, you know, designers that use our platform as a springboard into the fashion industry. So the amazing, the vibrant designs that come onto our platform or to our catwalk every year out of Africa to the West.
Yes, thank you so much. So what is that you think the global luxury good market is missing out on from the African continent?
For me, I would say they're missing out collaborating with, you know, the young African designers. The luxury goods market, over the years, they've been inspired by Africa. So we've had brands like Christian Dior, we've had brands like Louis Vuitton, we've had brands like Gucci. A lot of luxury brands have, you know, over the years created collections and they've said it's been inspired by Africa. I think what they're missing and what I would love to see would be like some kind of collaboration with an authentic, indigenous, ethically sourced African brand. And that is what I think the missing link is.
Can you give a clear picture of how your indigenous textile hub provide sustainable development for rural African women?
Okay, so I'm in the rural parts of the southwest of Nigeria now, and that's why we have a bit of the internet interruption. But we started the Indigenous Textile Hub, the Adire Textile Hub, as a COVID bounce back facility. We realized that a lot of women in the rural areas after COVID could not really do their businesses very well anymore. They couldn't support their businesses. So we introduced fabric making and we've been able to teach them. We've been able to, in terms of capacity building, and they have been able to earn a sustainable living from it consistently, you know, since last year that we opened in 2021 March. We have consistently and continually trained and keep on training women in the rural area, you know, in the different methods of the indigenous Adire making fabric.
Yes, that's beautiful. I'm looking forward to go and see. So in your opinion, Ronke, what is the first step in sustainable fashion? Does it start with the government, or does it start with the people, with the customers, with the people that?
I think it starts with the people, because initially when we started the Adire Hub here, the women I work with now and the women I have worked with over the past year, didn't really know much about sustainable goals. They didn't know anything about sustaining the environment. They didn't know about, you know, using dyes that are not harmful, you know, to the environment. But we have been able to educate them and let them know that there are certain measures, there are certain sustainable measures that you can take when you are making your fabric, when you are dyeing your fabric, to ensure that whatever you're doing is not harmful to the environment. So I would say it has to start with educating the people first, you know, giving them the basic knowledge about sustainability, which a lot of people don't know. And then before you know, having awareness programs with the government, implementing policies that can help sustainable development goals.
Yeah. And how can we make sustainability affordable for all?
Sustainable, the way we practice sustainable fashion in this at the Adire Hub here, and I'm always going to refer to the Adire Hub because that's what we do. We use it as a case study. Sustainable fashion is handmade. What we do here, sustainable fashion has a story behind it for us. It's not fast fashion, so it's a lot is put into it. The fabrics are authentically handmade, ethically sourced here. So it's at the moment, it's not affordable to the mass market yet, but we're looking for ways on how we can make it affordable so it could be mass produced. But we're not quite there yet. It's not similar to fast fashion because you have to be careful, you know, the type of dyes you use, the type of chemicals you use. You need to ensure that they're not harmful to the environment, yes.
Yeah. So you answer my
fast fashion. It's not like that. You know, fast fashion is something that you want to have to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
You answered my second two questions. One of them was if can be mass produced as fast fashion can. You already answered that. And sustainable clothing is ethical clothing.
Okay.
It has a story. It's all handmade. Is what else you can add for that? And in your opinion, in your hub.
It's all handmade. The women who work behind it, they always have stories to tell. You know, they're working because they need to send their children to school. You know, they're working because they need to put food on the table. They're working because they need to sustain their families, you know. So, and we make sure that the way we work with them here as well, we give them a good working environment. We give them good access to healthcare. We give them good access to insurance. So we make sure that everything we do here at the Adire Oduduwa Hub, we try as much as possible to make it, you know, in line or in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yes. So which fabric are the best to create this sustainable fashion in your hub?
In my hub, we use a lot of cotton, we use a lot of silk, we use satin silk. So what we also do is to make sure it's sustainable, because the Adire hub, Adire dates back to 1,000 or more years ago that it was initially developed in this part of Africa. So we work with a lot of young people in the textile department section of the university, because we are, you know, we're blessed to have a university that's not too far from us. And at that university, they teach textile and designs. So what we do once in a while is we have students, you know, from the university come and do some internship with the women here. You know, we try to merge the technology together. So the ancient methods, you know, the ancient traditional methods, and, you know, the new methods of the students, we merge it together to make sure that we keep the textiles, you know, we preserve them, but using new and modern technology and innovation as well.
So I have talked with you a lot through these 2 years. I have learned so much about Africa, about textile, about fashion, because I have to tell you, during COVID time, we used to talk almost every day because we had several projects that some of them come to culmination. We interview a lot of people. We did mentorship online, didn't we?
Yes.
We review also the business model of the Africa Fashion Week London. Yes. I'm honored to be your consultant, and I learned so much, like things that I didn't know. So in your opinion, is there a way to help cultivate rising market to help grow sustainable and eco-friendly materials. You're still hopeful. What do you think about it?
Yes, we're still hopeful. And it would involve a lot of government intervention in terms of implementing policies, you know, in terms of the infrastructure, making sure the infrastructure is right, the internet, access to, you know, good and clean water, you know, good roads as well. So there's a lot that needs to go into it to make sure that we can achieve what we want to achieve. But I know I'm positive that we will definitely get there. Yeah,
I know. And from you, I have learned also from you and from Winky. As you know, we will interview Winky in some moment. It's with all these, we're working for fashion, with Fashion for a Cause. So, Ronke, how can people tell whether or not a brand is sustainable or not?
Sustainability for me has so many arms, you know, and what our core message or our core focus at the Adire Hub here is to make sure the women we work with are able to earn a sustainable income. Yeah, and we enable them to work in a sustainable environment as well. Because we feel that it's only when you're able to be self-sustainable or self-sufficient that you can open your mind up to the global issues of sustainability. But if you're hungry, if you're starving, if you can't even feed yourself or feed your family, how do we talk your working environment? So for me, it's making sure that the women we work with are able to sustain themselves with what they do. Yes. And then we can produce other sustainable development goals to them. So we try to build them a capacity. We introduce capacity building where they're up to that capacity, that they're able to sustain themselves and become self-sufficient. Yes.
And I guess nowadays there is so many information. You can Google the company. You can even go and interview somebody. I know I have a friend of mine that she has a point, and she doesn't buy anything that she's not sure that is, you know, not only sustainable because it's pure cotton. She always asks me, we need to make sure that the people who make that piece are well treated, have social security, etc. And I understand that you are doing this because of the several programs we've been working together, that you take care of the people who's working for you. So here, what Princess Ronke is telling us in her point is sustainability is how we take care of the people. Also, of course, the materials and all this is important, but how we take care of the people and make them part of the initiative and be proud of what they are doing. Yes. And to grow and to learn more. Yes. And to advance. So there is, you are a multi-potentialite woman. You studied law, but you're so connected with fashion because you wanted to open so many places for work for artists and make your continent to be known by the world, and you succeeded beautifully. And then you do that, and then you understand, wow, there is so many Africans that even though when we receive some scholarship and we can help, they have no possibility to go. So you created the same initiative in Africa, in Nigeria. That's so wonderful. So the African people are attended inside of the continent, and also they have the opportunity to go outside the continent to be known. And some of them had won scholarship, and they become famous designer or famous photographer or famous makeup artist, and they are already teaching and mentoring others. This is so, so beautiful. So what I want to ask you now can you tell us more about first Queen Moremi? Little story about Queen Moremi, and then tell us about the Queen Moremi initiative, because when I hear you talking about the Queen Moremi, really my heart get expanded of love and joy, and I want all of you to know about it.
Okay, thank you. So a little bit about Queen Moremi. Queen Moremi is a queen mother close to my heart, because the legendary 12th century queen was a woman who was able to go out of her comfort zone, you know, to ensure and to make sure that she's meant of women and children thousands of years ago. Women and children were being captured, you know, they were being enslaved, and she went out of her way, you know, to make sure. So she went on like an espionage mission, you know, to make sure that she put an end to it. And she was able to do that. And that's why I say that the Queen Moremi, the whole initiative, is something that's really close to my heart. The legendary Queen Moremi, as I call her. And it was off the back of her name that we set up the Queen Moremi initiative with the sole supporter of our benefactor, who's His Imperial Majesty, the King of the Ife Kingdom.
Thank you. So let's go to that initiative, like, because Queen Moremi is so close to your heart, and it's the lineage where you're coming from, yeah?
Yes, it is, yes.
Yes. Do you want to tell us a little bit also about your lineage?
Okay, a little bit about my lineage. So I'm a princess of, my great-grandfather was a king of the Ife Kingdom. So I am a princess of the Ife Kingdom. And this is the same kingdom where Moremi, the legendary Queen Moremi, came from. And it dates back to 6,000 or 7,000 years ago. It was one of the biggest kingdoms in Africa, one of the first and the biggest kingdoms in Africa, the Yoruba Kingdom, and that's where I'm from.
How many followers this lineage has in the world?
In the world, it has up to about 300 million, and it cuts across Brazil, Cuba, the Caribbean, Venezuela, and Canada, the US, the UK. So it's a huge kingdom, and then the coast of West Africa as well.
Beautiful. I bet you find this fascinating. Maybe one day we sit and talk with Princess Ronke just about the kingdom. So you have published a book, Unspoken. The book Unspoken, Female Kingship in Africa. Tell us about this book, because really I could see from my experience with you and so many other African sisters that leadership, the way how you do leadership, so compassionate, so beautiful, and so grounded. I'm fascinated by it. For that, I support so much many initiatives in Africa and for Africa. Tell us more about this book.
Okay, so my book Unspoken, it was published in March in honor of Women's History Month this year, which is normally celebrated in March, and it talks about 7 strong African female kings, Yoruba female kings, and the reason why I called it Unspoken was that their history had been swept under the carpet and hadn't really been spoken about. So I called it Unspoken, you know, the chronicle of the Yoruba female kings. And the book talks about their leadership roles. It talks about their kingship roles. You know, it speaks about their community roles, you know, their leadership roles, and how they were able to combine these leadership roles with their maternal roles as well, because some were mothers, you know, some still were mothers, they were wives, but they were still able to, you know, hold on to that strong leadership positions 500 or 600 years ago. Some of them went to war, some of them went to fight wars, some of them, you know, implemented policies, some of them, and it's just amazing and so fascinating that we had women, African women, who could achieve so much hundreds of years ago.
Yes. So you're not finally starting, you're returning.
Yes, yes. I'm returning. Yes, I totally agree with you. Returning, you know, following the footsteps of these great ancient women of old.
So is this book for everyone to read, men, women, all ages?
Oh, yes, it is. So it's in English. It's available on Amazon, and it's available to everyone to read, you know, especially young women of today who need that role model, you know, who need a representation that they can connect with.
Okay, I have a question here in the chat. If you can answer, and we'll come back to I just don't want to forget, Wandasa is asking, if you can say, what are the lessons that your group can share on the issue of some fibers and materials to cope with climate change, warmer and more humid places?
I would not be able to highlight much on that because at the moment, a lot of the fiber growing industries in Nigeria is they're all dead. So we have to rely on a lot of imports, you know, importing from India, importing from China, importing from Turkey as well. However, we are trying to revive the textile industry. I know you mentioned Winky in what you were talking about. Winky is our sister in India, and at some point we are going to have this this seminar and workshop on how to grow or how to process natural based dyes, you know, that are not harmful to the environment. We're introducing that to our textile hub here in Nigeria.
Yes, we're waiting for traveling and things settle down, and then we're gonna do this project together. So I'm coming back now to the book, and I'm quite involved with you about the mentoring program. And I was fascinated about the initiative that you do once a year and how you throw a contest for girls to subscribe and to study, and then how is the process of selection and the one who wins. Could you explain to us how this process go? Every time I'm in a mentoring environment, I mention this and people are fascinated by it, which is, I guess, is your creation too.
Can you say that again? I didn't hear that. I think the internet.
Okay. Yes. It's about the program you have for women, young women between 18 when they arrive at 18, and you do that program once a year, and there is a contest, and so many young women apply, and then there is a whole process of education, and at the end there is one selected that will have duty to along all the year. Could you explain to us these initiatives, this beautiful program?
Okay, so it's called the QMA, which is the Queen Moremi Ajashoro, the QMA Cultural and Leadership Pageant. So unlike your regular beauty pageants, it's about culture and it's about leadership. So we have hundreds of young women between 18 and 25 who apply every year. The program takes place between September and December of every year. So we have them apply. There's a screening process, and then there's a boot camp as well, where the finalists, you know, come to the boot camp, and we test them with different types of mentorship programs, from education to cultural programs, to business investment programs. So we teach them the whole, and then we have some, some female leaders like yourself, Viola, who would talk to them, teach them about the facts of life. And then there's a final competition, a judging process, and then a winner emerges, who then becomes our ambassador for that year, our young ambassador for that year. And she also becomes a cultural exchange ambassador because she has the opportunity, to travel with us, for the Africa Fashion Week London.
And is that right that she will go during her mandate? She will go around other group, other tribes, other environment to teach what she has learned. So you really model what mentoring is.
It's transfer of knowledge, I think I would call it. So she goes to schools, and she talks to young women there, young girls there, secondary schools, even primary schools as well. So she transfers everything she has learned, for that whole year during her reign. She's able to transfer it, to, younger people who want to be like her, so they can emulate, the cultural ambassador that she is.
Beautiful, beautiful initiative. I'm so happy I'm part of that. And also, we are starting very soon a program for Women for Solution and the caring economy and gender parity. We're starting very soon a program for Nigeria, actually for whole Africa, but in this time it's leading in Nigeria. And then we're gonna have hopefully hundreds of people, being men and women, to go and learn from this session that we give in the program start of Women for Solution, created by Laura Giadorukosh, our founder, plus all many of the people that's been with her for some time now, because this organization is just wonderful and the service is given to the world. And again, here from Laura, I learned so much about caring economy and practicing it every day that I can. Princess Ronke, there is a question from Gina who said, and how can we support you in your initiative from wherever we are in the world? What do you want? What can we do for you? Gina said. Gina Vega.
What can you do? You can support us, with your heart. You can send us positive vibes, you can send us so much positive vibes, and you can also donate. You could make a donation, because we have so many programs that we do. We have scholarship programs where we educate young girls. We have mentorship enterprise programs where we give young women startup funds so they can, start their own small businesses. We have our Say No to Rape program where we have a young ambassador, Fatima, that, goes around Nigeria campaigning, against the rape of young girls, because we saw that during the COVID period, there was a rise, of rape, rape cases were being reported. There was a rise of that. So we go around, we educate. She goes to schools and we support that as well, and we tell young women who have been, because for them in this part of the world, it's kind of like a stigma. So if you suffer any abuse, or if you've been molested or violated in any way, a lot of them do not want to come out and speak up. So we have an awareness campaign. We have an ambassador who they can talk to. So we're happy if you want to support that as well. We also support young girls who've been victims of trafficking, modern day slavery. We integrate them back into the society. We do mentoring programs for them. And if they want to go to school, we help educate them. We support and the first victim of a modern in business administration. She has started her own business. She's actually married now, you know, so she got married last year, and she's doing well. She's pregnant. So we have that for us, that is a success story. We were we were able to, you know, we were able to like work with her on the journey after her trauma. You know, we were able to give to point her in the right direction. She wanted to go to school. We were able to help her, you know, help assist with her education. And so those are the things that the QMA, the Queen Moremi initiative is involved in. The you know, supporting the rights and the rights of women and girls in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. And that's what we do.
And Gina, thank you so much for this question, because when we meet, this is why I'm so engaged and committed with my sister Ronke, because when you meet people like this that are giving so much for humanity, I feel like we have a duty to give a hand, whatever we can, yeah? In my case, it was consultancy, it was presence, it was connection, whatever. You know, some of us maybe we can send donation in money. Maybe some of us, we can donate some part of our time or create some program, you know. I think if each one of us do the little bit that we can do and a little bit more, then the world will be much better place to be. And then people like Ronke can rest a little bit from the daily administrative things so they can create more. Yeah, so if any of you here listening to us and would like to collaborate with some hours work for Ronke, even though connection is not that good, even if you're not in Africa, if you're in Africa, it's great that you can go and give a hand. But even online, like I did for all this time, I had the honor and pleasure to meet Ronke personally, because it was the last event we did in March. It was March 8, 2020, and we were in this event that I was co-leading with our dear sister Pauline Long, and Ronke was one of the women that was recognized and awarded that night. We met next day, and I think next day, and then I come back to Cyprus, and the world was closed after one day. So we have the opportunity to meet, to hug, and then we work intensely during 2020 and a lot during 2021. So whoever want to give, whatever come out of your heart, connect with us in Women for Solution, and then we will give you Ronke's email, and you can find Africa Fashion Week London.com. And I think Ronke now maybe she looked frozen, but we managed to come to a conclusion to this interview, which I'm very, very pleased. And somebody else say here, Isabel. Yeah, Taiwo, thank you so much for your comment. Yes, she's doing wonderful work across the country and across the continent. And also she have dedicated all her life to the service, So we have concluded an hour, and I think, Ronke, can you hear us? Okay, so I think we can come to a conclusion here to thank you all for being with us, Women for Solution. And we do this kind of webinars and interview once a month. So you can learn from our interviewees, and also make your question and keep connecting with us, womenforsolution.com. So we have several programs. I hope you can join some of them as participant, and maybe you can donate part of your time too. So keep in connection, and thank you so much for being with us. We will say goodbye for now until next time we will meet. Bye-bye. Viola Edward here as a board member of Women for Solution.